Seriously, what was this? I've got to get a better labeling process. Or perhaps a better assistant. Greetings, I didn't see you there. I'm afraid we're a bit underprepared at the moment, but you can blame that on Squib. He has a tendency to run a bit amok when left to his own devices. Please watch this brief opening video while I fetch Squib. Squib, get in here. A touch of the old, bit of the new. Mix them together. Homebrew. Okay, listen, the homebrew opening was pretty good, all things considered, but it's too long. It should be like 5 seconds, 20 seconds tops. People don't have the attention spans these days for long videos. Do you want this channel to die before we get a chance? Squib? Hello?
Heh, this site is hilarious. Sorry, you were saying?
I was saying that you need to trim down the homebrew intro video. I love the music, you did a good job with Phantom Brewbeats, but the overall video is too long.
I'ma save all of these gifts. Ain't nobody gonna stop me. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Not gonna lie.
Homebrew intro video. Fix it. 20 seconds tops.
Heh, saved. What do you mean I'm already out of storage space?
Can you at least fix the title card for this episode? You didn't even bother to change the template. It still says episode title goes here. Literally nobody is going to subscribe to us at this rate.
Yeah, sure, whatever. You wet for noodle. Here.
That's much better. Thank you, Squib. Now, what in the world happened to your voice? You didn't sound like that earlier today.
I downloaded a language pack update. Blame the update.
You were online? You can't be trusted to be on the internet, especially not after last time.
I was only on it for like 20 seconds tops.
And where did you get that shirt? You weren't wearing it 2 Squib shots ago.
I just downloaded a graphics update. Blame the update.
Get off the Wi-Fi. How did you figure out the Wi-Fi passcode anyway? I was pretty certain I changed it this morning.
You did. You changed it from 0000 to 0001.
That was foolproof, though. Either way, you sound like a poor stereotype of someone from the Bronx.
And on that, you can blame the guy who voices me.
That's it. No more breaking walls. You've done enough damage for one day, Squib. Let's just get through introductions and get to the actual board games.
Yeah,
Greetings, survivors. It is I, the board game doctor. On this series, we homebrew various old games, a feat I could not do without my trusty robotic raven assistant.
Squawk, nevermore! Heh, I'm just messing. The name's Squib. I kinda handled the show's music and effects and junk. BD is the big brains, coming up with the homebrew rules for all the games we'll be revisiting on the series.
Correct. I recommend watching our channel's welcome video to get a better idea behind the Board Game Doctor Show's purpose, what makes us qualified to homebrew games, where we get our name, and more. But in a nutshell, we aren't here to fix games by homebrewing them. Quite the contrary, actually. And we're not here to teach you how to play the game or to review it. There are plenty of those channels out there as is. Instead, we're here to homebrew board games because we love them as they are. We love the passion creators around the world have poured into the things they love. And deep down inside, we know someone out there sitting and watching this right now likely has a game they love too, but probably hasn't played it in a while and it's likely gathering a bit of dust. So...
Yup, dust off whatever old games you got lying around and listen to BD's homebrewed new rules to find new and exciting ways to play your games. Think of the homebrews like house rules. They exist to mix up game nights, so give them a try, or don't. Whatever way you enjoy playing your favorite games, play that way.
Well put, Squib. Now fetch the first board game of our series. Oh, so exciting.
Aight, I'ma grab them in a sec. First up, we got a more recent title, Bring Out Your Dead, followed by a truly old classic, Clue.
Ah, yes, Clue. I really must say I enjoyed Tim Curry in that one. I can't wait to watch it again. Pop the corn, Squib.
It's the board game, not the movie, BD. We don't need no copyright strikes this early into the channel, so we ain't watching no movies tonight.
Well, not with that attitude, we're not.
Scene transition.
Thanks to the magic of video editing, we're just going to skip past the setups. Squib?
Beep, boop, beep. Heh, I'm just messing.
Presto, puppy.
Homebrew!
When we need a little bit of a helping hand, we bring in our friend Roka. They are always within an arm's reach, luckily. Say hi, Roka. So, as mentioned earlier, we're not here to review or teach Bring Out Your Dead. If you're looking for that before you listen to us homebrew this, check out the links in the description. With that being said, I'll let Squib give you the quick rundown of what Bring Out Your Dead is.
So, Bring Out Your Dead is your typical point salad, set collecting, and drafting game. Except this time, you try not to let old Granny's rotten corpse slip into the drink. If you following, what I'm trying to say is it's about family.
I mean, clearly you can see why I had to pick this board game for our first episode. Birds of a feather have to flock together, as they say.
Hey, so with any of the homebrew variants we show, you can use 1, 2, or mo, and mix and match however you like. Just know that not all variants mix well together. We'll even toss in a mod or two for the variants for even more excitement. Make sure you check with your doctor before playing anything too exciting. We're not responsible for any negative health stuffs that we ain't personally planned to do to you ahead of time. Got it? With that being said, this first variant is called the fastest filling cats in the West.
Yes, in this homebrew the card is much deadlier than usual, on account of some clerical errors leading to some family members being sent to the great beyond with even more room than necessary. Whenever you play either the lovely Antinola or rich Uncle Deville card during a round, you must place in twice as many coffins into the cart than you normally would with these cards. For example, playing the lovely Aunt Nola card as your bid would place 2 single coffins into the cart rather than just 1, while the rich Uncle DeVille card would place 2 double coffins onto the cart. You can also treat the 5, 6, and 7 death certificate cards the same way, but we found that this mod becomes a bit too extreme, which leads to whole branches of family trees ending up in the river. So, pick your poison accordingly. Yes, Save the River cards become even more valuable in this homebrew variant. Grab them when you can.
If you don't stop and think, you're gonna end up in the drink.
Now, our second homebrew of the night is called I Don't Want to Go on the Cart, and as you can probably guess, it involves some difficulties keeping coffins on the cart. Some people just aren't ready to give up the ghost, it seems. Each round, after the cart has been filled and all relevant excess coffins have fallen off into the river, players will perform a second bidding phase in which the player who bids the lowest ranked card must return one of their coffins on the cart back to their supply.
Before performing the second bidding phase, starting with the first player of the current round and continuing in clockwise order, players are given the chance to opt out of the second bidding phase by returning a fate or treasure card from their hand back to the game box.
If this results in only one player left for the second bidding phase, then the second bidding phase is canceled. Any discarded cards used to opt out stay discarded.
Otherwise, once this is done, the remaining players must bid using only death certificate cards they haven't used this turn. Ties for rank are broken starting with the last player of the current round and continuing in counterclockwise order.
Do you sometimes just need a bit more undead in your day? doesn't everyone? In this mod, the vampire and ghoul cards can be played during the second bidding phase. Playing them this way scores 5 points, and the player who played the card must then return one of their coffins on the cart back to their supply. The player with the lowest ranked card will still return their coffin on the cart back to their supply.
You used up that 7 death certificate call already? You might be the one having an unexpected family reunion this round.
For our final Bring Out Your Dead homebrew of the evening, we have Once Smitten, Twice Bribed. This homebrew works with 3 or more players, so it cannot be combined with I don't want to go on the cart without additional adjustments. During setup, sort the 30 treasure cards into 2 separate piles. One pile of only gemstone cards and one of only non-gemstone treasure cards. Shuffle and deal 2 gemstone cards to each player, face down. If there are any left over, place them and the non-gemstone treasure cards back into the game box. They will not be used in this game variant. Players will keep their 2 treasure cards face down in front of them, but may peek at them at the start of the game and during bribing phases. Any effect that would normally cause a player to draw a treasure card scores 2 points instead. Fate cards are still drawn as normal. Each round, when resolving bids, players put all coffins from bids onto the cart. This includes coffins that would normally fall off into the river. Simply place them after the last position on the cart. Once done, players, other than the first player, get a chance to bribe the Gravedigger's assistant, the nickname we'll use for the first player. We call this the bribing phase. Discussing as a group, players can offer any future promise to the Gravedigger's assistant, such as promising to give a specific gemstone, like diamond, as part of the bribe, promising to take a future bribe, promising not to bury in a specific grave, etc. You can be as wild as your player group is okay with, but the player must also offer one of their treasure cards as part of the bribe, face down. However, promises do not have to be honored. The Gravedigger's assistant must accept bribes at their own risk.
If the Gravedigger's assistant chooses to accept a bribe, they take the treasure card without peeking and place it face down on their treasure card pile, making a new pile if they ain't got any treasure cards. Only 1 bribe can be accepted per round, and the Gravedigger's assistant can choose to not accept any bribe, but must give all players a chance to make their case before ending the bribing phase.
The player whose bribe, if any, was accepted, then chooses one of 2 possible benefits. Moving the cart to the other side of the river, or choosing an opponent's coffin on the cart, placing it into the river, and then taking one of their own coffins, either a coffin on the cart queued up to go into the river, or one from their supply, and placing it on the empty spot on the cart. This concludes the round's bribing phase, and gameplay resumes as normal.
At the end of the game, reveal and score all face-down treasure cards and perform any other final scoring, as normal.
Want those promises to pay off? In this mod, players who keep their promises to the Gravedigger's assistant may draw a card from the top of the fate deck at the end of the round in which their promise was fulfilled.
Looking for a little more RNG? In this mod, players can peek at their 2 treasure cards during setup, but never again until the final scoring takes place. Hope you got a good memory, champ.
Well, it looks like it's time for a word from our sponsors. We'll see you back here in just a minute.
They've got a gun to my eggs. Please call for help. No product placement is worth this.
Well, if it ain't the high-stakes board game. Partner, this right here is the one and only steak-based board game made with 100% real Angus beef. Unlike those other steak-based board games. So if you're looking for a real manly man's game that doesn't have time for sissy things like rules or vegetables or health code violations, then the high-stakes board game is just the game for you. We only use the very best steaks with the very best marbling. I mean, come on, partner. Look at that marbling. It's perfection at its best. The high stakes board game. Find it wherever you find your stake-based board games today. Please play the high-stakes board game responsibly.
Oh, wow. I think I just got parasites just from watching that. How is that board game even legal?
I try it, BD. I mean, did you even see that marbling? It was flawless.
This is an honest product review and is in no way a result of any form of duress.
Also, our lawyers are telling me to tell you to stop talking before we lose another sponsor.
Okay, let's just jump to Clue before we're part of a separate murder and it won't be any mystery who done it.
Was it the meats? It was the meats, wasn't it?
Yes, Squib. It was meats.
It's always the meats. Every time.
Time for Clue! Squib, please fill in our single viewer on what Clue is.
Hi, Mom. Yeah, so Clue is your classic deduction, murder, and mystery game. Ain't a whole lot that can be said about Clue that ain't already been said for decades. Classic and beloved by many, here are some homebrewed rules that will spice up your game night. Homebrew.
In this homebrew, the vengeful ghost of Mr. Body is on the loose. He wants answers on who killed him, and he wants them fast. Without closure, his ghost can't move on to the afterlife and will eventually kill anyone roaming around his mansion. He's not looking for your suggestions, only confident accusations, and one wrong word could have you joining him. So buckle up. You're either all solving this together, or you're going to all die trying. During setup, place a token of some sort, like a dice, piece of paper, piece from another game, etc., on an available space at the bottom of the stairs. This is Mr. Body's ghost token. Body's killer is determined by placing one character card, one room card, and one weapon card in the envelope as normal. Players are then dealt a number of cards, face down, based on the number of players. Players cannot discuss their cards or information sheets and must keep cards hidden as normal, but they may look at their own cards.
4 cards each in a 2 to 3 player game, 3 each in a 4 to 5 player game, and 2 each in a 6 player game. What?
Weapon tokens are not used in this variant. Any remaining cards are then dealt to the rooms, face down, 1 card at a time, starting at the hallway and going clockwise. You've got to risk it for the biscuit. When a player ends their movement in a room, that player may perform up to 3 special actions, depending on the state of the room. But here's the kicker. Because of everyone panicking on account of a murderous ghost on the loose, you must always be on the move. That means each player can only enter each room once per game. You can use your information sheet to mark which rooms you visited. Do you split up? Do you stay together? Either way, stay hydrated. Now, let's discuss those special actions.
Special Action 3, Game Night is Over. Starring BD, Squib, and your parents. Wait, I don't remember this one being in the script before. Special Action 3, Rated R.
Action 1, Collaboration. Once during a player's turn, if in a room with at least one other player, they may ask to see the cards of another player in that room. That player secretly shows their cards to the asking player, and the asking player updates their information sheet accordingly. Action 2, Investigation. Once during a player's turn, if in a room without a face-down card in it, that player may pick up the card and add it to their hand, being sure not to show anyone else. Action 3, Accusation. Once during a player's turn, as the final action of that turn, a player in a room may make an accusation. Keep in mind that suggestions are not used in this homebrew variant. Making an accusation immediately brings the ghost token to that room, regardless of where it was at the time. This begins what we'll call the accusation process. During the accusation process, the player who performed the accusation peeks at the cards to see if the accusation was correct. If it was, the ghost is appeased and all surviving players win. If the accusation was incorrect, that player is now a victim, and their token is the victim token. Remove the ghost token from the board, and the remaining players are given a chance to be placed on the spaces surrounding the victim token, if outside a room, placed in the victim token's room, if in a room, or simply remain where they are. Only the players who choose to move to the location of the victim token may immediately peek at the victim's information sheet and update their own information sheets accordingly. Next, remove the victim token. Finally, place the ghost token in an empty room furthest away from any player's token. If there is a tie for which room is furthest, players decide as a group which room to place the ghost token in. After all players have had a turn, the ghost attempts to move to the nearest player by rolling a dice and moving that many spaces. It doesn't matter who rolls for and moves the ghost. If the ghost would move into a space occupied by a player's token or into the same room as a player, the ghost attempts to kill the player and that player must state, "Wait, I figured it out. The person who killed you used character in the room with the weapon, wasn't it?" Which also counts as an accusation. Immediately follow the accusation process. In rooms with more than one player, the ghost will always choose to kill the player whose turn was most recent. Now, to balance things a little bit, since the ghost is rather OP, there are a few limitations on the ghost's movement. The ghost can move through rooms as a single movement. Yes, pretty wild, but it's a ghost for crying out loud. However, the ghost will always roll 2 dice and choose the lesser roll for its movement. Furthermore, the ghost does not even move on its first turn. That gives you a full turn to scatter like scared little roaches. Continue playing until either the identity of body's killer is revealed, in which case all the surviving players win, or until there are no remaining players, in which case the killer and the ghost win.
So the victim's feeling left out on the fun? Give them a share of the spoils of victory by letting all the players win when you win. In this mod, ain't no losers, but we'll all know you won more than anyone else did. It's aight, we won't tell no one.
Does the ghost seem too unforgiving for your own taste? Well, let's give them a taste of their own split pea soup with a splash of holy water. In this mod, before looking at the envelope during the accusation process, roll a dice, +1 re-roll for each player on an adjacent space in the same room with you. On a successful roll of 5 or 6, you are not killed. Instead, you receive a vision. Remove the 3 cards from the envelope, randomly peek at 1 card, update your information sheet, and shuffle the cards face down, putting them back into the envelope. Next, place the ghost token in an empty room furthest away from any player's token. If there is a tie for which room is furthest, players decide as a group which room to place the ghost token in.
Try using yourself as bait to distract Body's ghost if a fella player needs to reach another player to share info with. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work in this homebrew.
In this classic variant, we're swapping out the dice for action points. Diceless variants for Clue and Cluedo have been around since time immortal.
Bon apple tea?
Why, thank you, Squib.
Anyways, far be it for us to try to reinvent the wheel here. So, here's a diceless variant we really enjoy.
During setup, place the dice back into the game box. Dice will not be used in this variant. Instead, each player has 9 action points, or AP, per turn. AP is not carried over between turns, so use it or lose it. 1 AP can be used to move 1 space, but cannot be done if you have used a 3 AP action this turn. There are 3 actions that cost 3 AP each. You can use 3 AP to use a secret passage, to make a suggestion, or to make an accusation. All of the rules and mechanics work as normal.
A run of 1s running you down? AP is here to turn that frown upside down.
Want to mix it up? Sometimes you're feeling dicey, but other times not so much. That's okay. In this mod, at the start of a player's turn, that player declares whether they are using dice or AP for their current turn. If the player chooses dice, they may re-roll their roll once per game, marking on the information sheet that their re-roll has been used. Otherwise, choosing to use AP proceeds as normal.
So remember, you can choose at the start of every turn what you plan to use for that current turn. Mix it up.
Finally, our final homebrew of the evening. In this homebrew, you are no longer at someone's beck and call at any given moment. After all, you're not the butler around here, right? Whenever a player makes a suggestion that would move another player's token to their room, the player to be moved may instead choose to remain where they are, unless they are the only other player left in the game. If they do, the active player must choose another player, or themselves, as part of the revised suggestion and move their player token accordingly. This player cannot refuse to be moved. This does not trigger if a player's token is already in the room where the suggestion is being made.
I bet they didn't want to come when called because they got something to hide, don't they? Sounds about right. In this mod, if a player chooses to remain where they are rather than be moved as part of a suggestion, they show one of their cards at random to the player making the suggestion.
Oh, how absolutely sinister. I love it.
Yes.
Good one, Squib. I can see it now. Choosing when to stay and when to move is critical, but even more critical is choosing when to make someone else get moved.
You got it, BD. Well, sorry, pals. That concludes our homebrews of the night. We hope it's been as fun for all of you guys as it has been for us. Normally, at this point in the shenanigans, somebody ends up dead. So honestly, this is pretty above par for the two of us.
Yeah, I'll be marking that as a bit of a low point for the channel when I get the channel survey in the mail. Not a good way to start the show out. So remember, it doesn't matter how you choose to play your board games. The only thing that matters is whether or not playing them that way is fun for you and your player group. Because in the end, win, lose, or draw, death comes for us all. Goodbye and good night, survivors. Thanks for stopping by. Say good night, Squib. Really, Squib? Why were those even in you? What else is in there? Is that where my copy of Clue movie went? Is that why we really couldn't watch it tonight? It is, isn't it? Stop choking and answer me. You're not getting out of this one by fake choking like you did on last Wednesday. Future episodes won't be as long, but if this was kinda your thing, be sure to comment below with what games you'd like to see homebrewed and subscribe. Hit that bell and all that jazz. If you want to check out stuff related to the music and more from the show, check out Squib's channel. Right, Squib?
Squawk! Nevermore! Heh, I'm just messing.